In this section, we're going to be learning about scatter plots and trend lines. A scatter plot is a graph with points plotted to show a possible relationship between two sets of data. Scatter plots are an efficient way to display some types of data. Also, scatter plots help show correlations and describe relationship between two data sets. So we're going to look at a couple correlations that a scatter plot may show. The first one is going to be a positive correlation, which means both sets of data values increase. Here we have an example of a positive correlation on a scatter plot. You can see how the points are all scattered, but it has a positive slope, and as the x value increases, the y value increases, so it's a positive correlation. Now we're going to look at a negative correlation. One set of data values increases as the other set decreases. Here you can see the scatter plot has a negative slope, so as the x value increases, the y value decreases, which shows a negative correlation. Now we're going to look at no correlation, which means there is no relationship between the data sets. You can see through this data that there is no real correlation that we can make based on these because it's just random dots scattered throughout the graph. So this would be no correlation. Now we're going to look at an example of looking at a scatter plot and determining what type of correlation. So on the y-axis we have test scores, and on the x-axis we're going to have hours of TV watched. And now we're going to plot the scatter plot points. Based on this graph, you can see that there is a negative correlation between the two sets of data, because as the number of hours spent watching TV increases, test scores seem to decrease, so there is a negative correlation. Now we're going to look at another example of identifying correlations. Here we have a word problem: the number of empty seats in a classroom and the number of students seated in the class. We want to try and identify the correlation we would expect to see between these two sets of data. If we think about the situation, as the number of students increases, the number of empty seats decreases because more students would be filling them up. So there's going to be a negative correlation because as one number goes up, one number goes down. Now we're going to look at how you can graph a line on a scatter plot to help show a relationship in the data. This line that we graph would be called a trend line, or a line of best fit, and helps show the correlation between the data sets more clearly. So we're going to look at an example of this. So here you can see we have a scatter plot, and now we're going to draw a trend line for this scatter plot. Basically, it's just a line that best fits the data, and you can see that this line has a positive slope, so this is going to be a positive correlation. As the x value increases, the y value increases.